Welcome. This is To Our Core with Katie Murray, and this is a place where we peel back our layers to uncover who we really are at our centre, at our core. And think of it as a chat with your bestie, the one who can make you laugh until your belly hurts, who is ridiculously unfiltered and will lovingly call you forward to help you cut through the noise and get real with yourself. Around here, nothing is off limits, and we are mixing this up with equal parts humour and heart, so let's dive right in. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm so happy to have you here, and I just want to reassure you before we even get started that this does not matter if you have just stumbled on To Our Core with Katie Murray and this is the first episode that you've ever listened to. Welcome. Or if you've been a long time follower or listener, this is going to compound the learnings and the teachings that I've been able to share through previous episodes, because we're going to be diving into a really important topic. And I think it's something that every single one of us does, even the people who insist they really don't care about it. And that is the need to be right. Now, you know that feeling when someone says something that doesn't line up with how you see the world, and you can feel your body react. It might be that your chest tightens, your heart starts to race a little bit, your jaw clenches, your mind goes into absolute overdrive, already preparing its rebuttal. And it's not like you are consciously doing this and like you mean for this to happen, it just happens. And the reason around this is actually super interesting, and I'm going to share that today, whilst also exploring why our brain creates this need to be right, how it impacts the way that we communicate, why it's really a safety strategy and not a personality flaw. So for all those people that are feeling already triggered and very seen and maybe perhaps a little bit defensive, I want you to know that this is such a common experience and it's not an attack on your character. Okay? It is a safety strategy that our brain does this, and once we understand it, then we will be able to implement the tools which I'll offer today about how you can actually change your responses and your reactions to needing to be right. And this is all going to wrap in and tie into belonging and internal safety and self-trust. And so I'll offer 3 practical ways, and I like the number 3 for giving some tangible strategies for you to loosen the grip on needing to be right, needing to control outcomes, and needing others to validate your worldview. And my goodness, does this resonate with so many people that I speak with, and also my experience of life pretty much from a very early age right the way through is this external searching for other people to say, yes, you're right. And for me to go, oh, okay, great, good. I know that I'm okay now because everyone else agrees with me too. It's like I've got my posse or a little alliance that kind of backs me up. And at the end, I'll also share a little bit about my upcoming online group program on self-sabotage, because this topic that we're discussing today is something that directly relates to self-sabotage, and I'll talk about all the ways in which you can access that program. So feel free to settle in. You know, depending on what time of day it is, you might be sitting back with a glass of wine, or maybe it's a cup of tea, or if you're driving your car and listening to this podcast, or going for a walk outside, turn the volume up, my friend. Take a deep breath, and let's get into this topic of the truth that we often forget. And that is that your brain is designed to keep you safe, not to keep you accurate. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not to keep you accurate. The limbic system, which is the emotional survival part of your brain, is constantly scanning your environment, and it's just asking one question: am I safe? Not am I correct? Not is this person making a pretty good point? Or not, where's or what's the nuance here? Like, it's not thinking like that. It's thinking very basically, just, am I safe? And for the brain, disagreement can feel very unsafe. And it might sound ridiculous, right? Like, how can someone simply having a different viewpoint make us feel unsafe? And yet, I want you to think back on your experiences. Most of us learn from an early age that being right meant approval, that being right meant being praised, or that being right meant that you weren't going to get into trouble, or being right meant that you were smart, capable, or worthy. Particularly for people who have grown up in family units with caregivers or parent figures and they didn't model apologies. They didn't model saying sorry. They didn't model relationship repair, where they perhaps haven't handled things well and they've sat down with you as a child and said, hey, I didn't handle that well, and this is my first time being a parent, or this is my first time on earth as well, and I didn't get it right, and I'm sorry for that. If that hasn't been modeled for us as children, then what has been modeled for us as an alternative is that being right is required. That being right is something that you have to stoically and rigidly hold on to. And being right means that you're safe. So the brain connects the dots. Right equals safe, wrong equals unsafe. And so when someone challenges your view, the brain hears, well, that must mean you're wrong, and therefore you're not safe. So that defensive urge you feel isn't just about you being and having a big ego. It's actually your nervous system trying to protect you from a perceived threat. And all of this is operating on a really unconscious level in the background in your mind. That is the reason why some of the most emotionally intelligent, kind-hearted people still get defensive or shut down when they feel challenged. They don't feel safe. And it's not a hit on their character. It's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're arrogant or righteous. It is their conditioning and their wiring that says, if you're not right, you're wrong. And wrong equals unsafe. So now let's talk about what actually happens in communication when we cling to the need to be right. When you're focused on being right, you stop listening. When you're focused on being right, you stop listening. And I once heard a really great, well, not once actually, I've heard it several times, and you've probably heard it too, is that you have one mouth and two ears. Use them in proportion to each other. In other words, listen twice as hard to how often you speak. Because when you're focused on being right, you stop being curious. You jump to conclusions. You fill in gaps with assumptions. And you are already preparing your response while the other person is still speaking, which means you stop listening. And communication shifts from let's understand each other here to let me win this. Who's been in an argument with someone? And I put my hand up. I put my hand up. I am human. And it becomes about point scoring. It becomes about point scoring in an argument where you just want to one up the other person. And then when they can't respond, like they don't have a rebuttal for you, you think, yes, I got them. I got them. And it's not that you're being malicious or calculated. It's this unconscious programming that's trying to keep you safe. However, when this happens, connection with the other person evaporates. The need to be right turns conversation into competition. It creates walls instead of bridges to come together and understand each other, and it shuts down a genuine exchange. So a genuine back and forth to hear each other's opinions. It actually just becomes talking at. And this is the big one, because when your safety depends on other people agreeing with you, your sense of stability becomes so fragile. Suddenly, your emotional world gets tossed around by every differing opinion, belief, or perspective that someone else holds. And I tell you what, when you outsource to that degree that your emotional world is dependent on someone either validating you or agreeing with you or holding the same perspective, that can be exhausting. And the ultimate irony of it all is that we think that being right gives us control. When actually, bad news, guys, it actually means that we give away our control because our internal peace now depends on external agreement. Which leads me into a topic that I'm very passionate about, and I talk to my coaching clients about this all the time, is belonging. Many of us unconsciously chase belonging through correctedness. We think, if I'm right, I'll be accepted. Or if I'm right, I won't be rejected. Or if I'm right, I'll stay in control. Yet belonging built on agreement is not actually belonging. It's performance. Because it's conditional. It's conditional on the other person agreeing with us, and it's unstable and it's fragile, and it can be taken from us at any point in time if we outsource it, because real belonging doesn't require sameness. It requires authenticity. And authenticity requires internal safety. The ability to stay connected to yourself even when others see things differently. And when I'm working with clients around belongingness, often they are looking externally to themselves. They're looking at their community, their sisterhood, which groups they fit into, their work crew, all of those kind of things to assess whether or not they belong. And what they're doing is they're being a chameleon. They're adapting to their environment, and they rob themselves of the capacity to truly belong to themselves by doing that. So belonging, it actually starts with that internal safety of being connected to yourself even when other people see things differently. So some examples of what internal safety sounds like might be that I can hold my viewpoint without needing you to hold it too. I mean, who's listening to this and going, yeah, but can we really? True. Think about it. If you sat with, I can hold my viewpoint without needing you to hold it too, I just want you to check in with the sensations that's coming up for you in your body, even considering thinking in that way. Because that will give you a really good indicator. If it's landing, you're going, yeah, I get that. That's cool. And you're not feeling this internal kind of rise in your chest and, this sensation in your body that says, yeah, but I want them to agree. That will be a really great indicator of where you're at in terms of your internal safety. Or something like, I trust my experience, even if you don't share it. So I trust that this is what happened for me and this is the way I see it, and you don't have to share it. See how the competition's gone out of that statement? I'm no longer operating from this convincing energy where I need to just keep talking until you understand and agree with me. I mean, I was one for keeping an argument going for a very long time just so I could ensure that I had given them enough information or enough data or enough points in my argument for them to see the error of their ways. Or even saying something like, your interpretation doesn't threaten my identity. So the way in which you see things or the way in which you've interpreted that particular situation or circumstance, that's cool. It doesn't actually say anything about me as a person and who I am. And when self-trust grows, the need for external validation shrinks. The need to outsource approval diminishes because you've got it internally. So differences in people in terms of like how they see the world or what they believe, it stops feeling dangerous. Or conflict stops feeling like it's rejection. And other people's perspectives stop destabilizing you so that you don't feel like you're this chameleon that has to adapt all the time. And from that place of internal safety, of deep self-trust, we communicate with compassion and clarity and groundedness. So you might be going, okay, I can see where you're coming from. I see your point, and also how, because understanding the pattern is great, yeah. yet changing the pattern is where the freedom for us internally lies. So I'm going to offer 3 tools to start releasing the need to be right, controlling outcomes, or managing how others see the world. It would be a little bit boring if all of us just agreed all of the time. And I think the unconscious fun in it for me, because it doesn't feel fun at the time, but I was in debating when I was going through school. And so it's like an extracurricular activity to literally argue the point, and then you get adjudicated at the end. And so you're actually being like either rewarded or saying, no, your argument wasn't as strong as the other team in debating. So some of my conditioning was about the fact that this is a game. And I'm not consciously thinking about that when I'm in debate. But winning a debate or winning an argument has been ingrained in me in childhood when I used to do debating. And so I wonder, even in the careers that you're in, whether or not this need to be right is starting to carve out how you show up in your work, and whether or not you're being rewarded for it, and whether or not you're disguising it as advocacy, or whether or not you can actually create this sense of calm in yourself by welcoming a variety of different opinions. And when I did that, my goodness, life got more fun and more interesting. So the first tool I want to offer you is to create a pause. I know it's a strategy I often recommend, and that's because it works. Create a pause between the trigger and the reaction. So when someone challenges your view, your nervous system instantly reacts, yeah? And your job isn't to just stop the reaction, it's to slow it. So I want you to try this. Next time someone disagrees with you and you feel that surge in your nervous system and that immediate reaction in your body, it's not about you never reacting. It's about you pausing in the midst of it. And the way you can do that is by take one slow breath when you feel that response in your body come up for you. Someone's disagreed with you and you immediately want to go into attack mode or defense mode or even shut down. Take one slow breath. Loosen your jaw. Drop your shoulders. And internally name your experience. Acknowledge, I am feeling defensive right now. And I know that my body's doing that because it's just trying to keep me safe. And this tiny pause lets your prefrontal cortex, the logical, empathetic part of your brain that can consider other people's perspectives, come back online. And you know what it does in that moment? It gives you choice. And in that choice, curiosity becomes possible, understanding becomes possible, and connection becomes possible. Tool number 2 is shifting from certainty to curiosity. Because when we're certain about something, it's like we've put a full stop to the conversation. It closes it down. I mean, any further conversation, if you're already certain about what you're talking about, is just noise. However, curiosity opens it up. It expands it. So instead of, you're wrong, that's not what happened, try, can you tell me more about that? Or, can you help me understand what experiences have led you to see it that way? And then they might be able to expand your awareness of how they've drawn or come to that conclusion. Or even just saying, can you help me understand your perspective? Because what that offers in that moment is connection. That person sees, oh, they don't understand. However, they've asked me to help them to understand. So that shows positive intent, that they want to see it from my perspective, that they're trying to meet me where I'm at. So curiosity doesn't necessarily mean agreement. It simply means I'm willing to see your humanity. And you can still hold your truth while being open to other people's. So in coaching, I call this, or it's very well known in NLP as being called the model of the world. So if a client sees their world as it is my responsibility as a coach to join them in their model of the world. Because if I am just talking to them from my model of the world and the way I see it, then we're just going to be at opposing sides if there is some difference there. So it's more beneficial to my clients. If I join them in their model of the world, see it from their perspective, ask them to help me understand their perspectives, and then in that, I can start to model one about what it looks like to join someone else's model of the world, and also ask more and more curious questions for them to better understand what's going on for them as well as myself, so that I can help them. And so the third tool that I want to offer you is anchor the internal safety. And this is truly the deepest and most transformative tool, because internal safety is the foundation of self-trust. Internal safety is the foundation of self-trust. You can ask yourself, hang on a second, is my worth dependent on being right now? Or what fear is underneath my defensiveness? Or can I stay with myself even if we disagree here? Because that's the other thing, isn't it? That sometimes when we don't have self-trust, we will abandon ourselves in the process in order to reach agreement with someone. So we will abandon our truth and just agree with the other person's viewpoint, because once again, that makes us feel safe. So people pleasers, I see you. This is what's happening in your brain, is that your brain has determined that it is safer for you to have connection and agreement with others than it is to have belonging to yourself. So can I stay with myself even if we disagree? And can I validate my own perspective without needing them to? Or, as some of you may resonate with, can I hold my own perspective without not even getting them to validate it, but then also not going out to other people to say, this is the argument I just had with my partner, and this is what he said, and he's like holding rigidly to his perspective, and this is my version of events. And, you know, depending on the quality of friends that you have, sometimes they will just agree with you because that's what they perceive friendship as. They'll just be like, oh, he's such a prick. What an asshole. You know, we've all been in that situation before. And so one, check your circle. Check your circle of friends, because when you're outsourcing, if you're going and seeking advice and support from other people, make sure that they're the people who are going to hold you to your highest self, who are going to be able to challenge your viewpoints. Because without that, we don't have growth, we don't have expansion. And we will just stay in this narrow vision of how the world is from our own lens. And so when you build internal safety and you stop outsourcing your sense of worth to other people's reactions or opinions, or whether or not your friends have said, yes, you're so right, communication becomes grounded and relationships improve and are enhanced, and self-sabotaging patterns loosen their power over you, and you show up differently because of it. Consistently, confidently, calmly, less reactive. And so, as I wrap up this episode, I want to circle back to the deeper thread that's running through everything that we've talked about today, and that is self-sabotage. Because these patterns, the need to be right, the fear of being wrong, the instinct to control outcomes, the discomfort with uncertainty, they are all forms of self-protection. And they often turn into self-sabotage. Not intentional. We're not intentionally going, how can I self-sabotage today? It is protective sabotage, the kind that keeps you playing small, pulling back, procrastinating, avoiding, overthinking, or holding back from opportunities and relationships or experiences that you genuinely want. And that is exactly why I created my brand new signature group online coaching program, which is called the Self-Sabotage Solution. And where it comes from, like, I want you to understand why you're self-sabotaging, and why it persists, and why it keeps rotating in cycles, and how to shift it at the very root level. I am talking about this program offering you greater understanding about nervous system patterns, the unconscious beliefs that you're operating from 95% of the time. That's right. Our unconscious mind is running the show. I want to talk to you in that program about identity level protection mechanisms because they are the real origins of self-sabotage. And I want to let you know that a very exclusive early bird offer has already gone out to my mailing list. They get their first access. So that has gone out. And this program that I am going to be launching is going to be incredibly intimate. It's going to be nurturing and supportive so that we can do that deeper work, even though it's a group environment. And so because of that, like, spots are going to be limited because of the level of support that I'm going to be providing those people. But if spots are remaining after that early bird offer to my mailing list and they've had their chance to secure it, the cart or the doors, so to speak, will open publicly in early January. So if this episode has stirred something in you, and if you've felt very seen and perhaps a little bit triggered in the patterns that I've been discussing, or if you're ready to build that internal safety, like that true self-trust where you go, that this is more than something that sounds nice. Like, I want this for my life and I want to stop looping old behaviors and I want to step into the version of me who actually shows up consistently in the way that I want to, then go to the link in the show notes to join the waitlist for the self-sabotage solution so that if there are spots available in January when I open the doors more broadly, you will be the first to know and you can secure your spot. And this program is going to be deeply supportive and it's going to be practical. It's not just a talk fest. There's going to be taskings each week to be able to support you and support offline as well, not just in the 1 hour coaching sessions that you're going to have with me. It goes for 6 weeks and it's going to be truly transformative and I am so excited to share it with you. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for choosing your own growth. Thank you for, even if the only accessibility you have right now is to me through this podcast, then I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back because you've just given yourself 25 to 30 odd minutes today to think differently, to open yourself up with curiosity to different perspectives. And you've done that by listening to my podcast today. And thank you for doing this work. And I want to invite you to do it gently with compassion for the parts of you that have only ever been trying to keep you safe. So until next time, take care and remember to keep choosing that path of internal safety and self-trust because, my goodness, you certainly deserve it. Thanks for spending time with me today on To Our Core. If something landed in your heart or gave you a much needed giggle, consider sharing it with a friend who also may need this as a timely reminder. And go on, you know you want to. Give me a 5-star review so that this podcast can land in the ears of many, many more people. Because remember that life is too short to stay on the surface. Keep living, loving and laughing all the way to your core. Go make life great. And if you want support around this, go to the show notes to find out more. Until next time, I'll meet you back here with more truth, laughter and a whole lot of heart.